class, you can borrow this. Usually it's a $2. Yeah. And your name is?
Last name is Smith.
Do you have an email? It's not coming out, buddy. Yeah. Why don't we just do it all at the end of class?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. My.
You've been here before, but you just recently moved.
Oh, great.
Keep the keys and the big. See it. Me, but- All right. All right. Hi. Who do we have on Zoom? Catherine, good to have you on Zoom. My name is Anita. I'll be instructing. Welcome, everybody. Good to have so many of you here this morning. Anybody have anything in particular they're hoping to do in class today? Poses or anything like that? Okay, Cool. All right. Well, we'll begin this morning in child's pose, so we can start in Balasana. If you want to go gentle on the hips, especially early in the practice, what we can do is you can bring your knees out towards the sides of the mat. Will be rolled out onto the tops of the toes. You can spread the heels apart a little bit and just slide one of your blocks between the feet, and then you can spread your knees apart even more based on that, and just let the arms stretch out. And this will be kind of softer on the hips if you let the sit bones kind of drop down into the mat a little bit, so that it's not dropping all the way to the heels. If you don't need that, you're welcome to just push the block out of the way and take a regular child's pose, letting the hips sink into the space between the heels. You can let the arms reach out far in front of you, starting off with the arms kind of engaged. The forehead will settle down onto the mat, shoulders pulling back. Close the eyes. You can find your first breath that moves in through the nose. Exhale, let it out through the mouth. And Catherine, I just want to make sure, hopefully you can hear me okay. All right, well, at the beginning of the practice, we settle into the space that we are arriving at. So feeling the wholeness of each of the parts of your body that is in contact with something else right now. So start maybe with the hands, noticing the fingertips as they rest on the earth. Notice the elbows, the forearms pressing down. You can guide that awareness as it lifts off of the mat, following the position of your shoulders, maybe softly feeling the scapula draw back away from the ears. Roll the shoulders back, drawing your attention to the length that's created in the neck just by virtue of the head kind of dropping down, resting on the mat. Forehead might rock side to side. You can just play with the weight of your head against the earth here. Exhale out, inhale, drawing in, feeling the rise of the belly, the ribs lifting, drawing length into the spine as the hips draw back a little bit further. And then finally drawing the attention to the legs, the knees, the tops of the feet as they press into the mat. Balasana as a full release. You might let the next exhale out through the mouth. Seeing how much of your weight you can release here. Let it go. When you're ready, you might start to bring the breath in and out exclusively through the nose. Starting to find the rhythm of inhale that comes in. Exhale that softens on its way out. You might be generating a little bit more heat with the breath. Letting the air move in through the back of the throat. And similarly, when you press the air out, you'll be pressing it out through the back of the throat, creating just a little bit more heat in the body. When you feel ready to start adding movement, you can walk the hands over to the right side, letting the left hand cross over the right. Space opens up along the left side body. Let the forehead rest against the right upper arm, keeping all that length in the side body. As the right side rests against the leg, you're still releasing through the right side of the body. Inhale. Come back through center. And exhale to the other side. Both hands walk to the left. Right hand crosses the left hand. Resting on top creates space, length through the right side body. The shoulders are pulling back. The forehead rests against the soft part of the arm. Starting to feel that slight tug of opening along the right lower back. Try to keep the hips soft. Hips are still both pulling back towards the heels. Inhale, walk back through center. Let the hips pull back. And for our next sequence of movement, we'll start moving a little bit bigger, starting with a soft back bend. You can let the right hand reach for the right heel. On the inhale, lift the hips up. Inhale, draw the left arm back. It's early in class, so you don't have to pull into the full back bend yet, but you can just let the left arm guide up, shoulders pull back, hips will press forward, and exhale, circle down. Left hand comes in a circle to wrap around to the left hand to the left heel. Inhale, circle the right hand up. Reach the heart up, gaze goes up. And exhale, you can find this movement in your own sequence. In exhales, draw you down. Inhales, lift you up. A couple more times, side to side. Just pressing the hips out as far as is comfortable for you early in class. Starting to notice the low back as the heart opens up. Exhale. To the other side, inhale, lift up. Find your own pace for a few sequences of breath. And your last time through on the left side, you can exhale, roll the right hand back down, planting both hands in front of you, palms facing down, draw the knees together. Sink the hips back onto the heels. You can plant the hands on the mat. You're still on the tops of the toes here. Press the hands into the earth. Press the mat away from you as if you're sliding the mat forward. Lift the knees up off of the earth. Roll the spine so it's kind of like a cat pose. The chin tucks into the chest. Space that opens up along the fronts of the shins, along the tops of the ankles. Exhale, knees reach back down to the ground. Tuck the toes under. Same idea, we're starting to open up the fascia at the bottoms of the feet, pressing the toes into the mat. The heels are pulling energetically back to the back of the mat. Hands are in the ground so that you're pressing deep into the earth. Push the mat away from you. And eventually you'll start to feel with that traction, the knees lift off of the earth. Knees lift up. Maybe they even come parallel with the heels as the heels draw back. So lots of space along the Achilles tendon, the bottoms of the feet. Hold for as long as you like feeling that release. Keep drawing the knees into the chest, push the mat further away from you. And now the hips are dropping back. You can walk the hands back. Here, if you still have that block from child's pose, or if you need to draw it in, you can bring the block underneath your sit bones. You're at the back of the mat, finding a supported Malasana, garland pose. Toes are pointing towards the long edges of the mat. Triceps are pressing against the insides of the knees. You can draw the hands into heart center, shoulders are really soft. The key in this pose is to give your low back that sensation of complete release as the pelvis draws down towards the earth. If it feels good without the block, you're welcome to push the block away. But early in the class, sometimes it's nice to have that support. and really draw attention to the upper body. So as we draw the pelvis down, there might be a tendency to collapse the chest and upper body. What you can do to counter that is to roll the shoulders back, to keep the clavicles really broad. Take the gaze a few feet in front of you, hands press firmly at heart center so that the forearms are parallel to the ground, shoulders soft. You might close the eyes here. Draw the attention to what activates, to where you feel space. Giving your energy into that space. Exhale, hands can reach down to the ground. Press the mat away from you as you start to lift the hips up. You can draw the feet parallel to each other. Walk your way up to a standing forward fold. You can scoot the feet a little closer together. Maybe you bring opposite elbow to each hand so that you're in a ragdoll pose, releasing the hamstrings, taking the gaze down in between the knees, finding maximum length in the low back as the body drifts closer to the ground. You can keep the knees as soft as you need to. I'll just close the door and be right back. When you're ready on the next exhale, you can let the hands reach all the way down to the ground. And we're going to start lifting up one backbone at a time. With the eyes closed, draw all your attention to the low back. Engage as you start to lift the low back up. Feel the weight of the upper body, then the middle back, then the upper back. The neck and head are still tucked. Finally, after the shoulders rise, the neck and head can lift up. Draw the arms up through the end of the inhale. Follow your breath all the way. Exhale, hands can come into heart center. Close the eyes. Give yourself a full round of breath or two to root into your samasthiti, finding where your feet are putting the most pressure on the mat. Maybe you rock forward and backward to find that attention to where you are. Draw your attention to the legs, activating slightly through the calves, micro bend in the knees. Imagine energetically drawing the inner thighs closer together. So that gives you a little bit of engagement of the glutes, a lift of the pelvis, lengthen the spine. You might drop the hands beside the hips for Tadasana with the eyes closed. You can choose if you're setting an intention for today's practice, if you're creating something. Bringing yourself fully to this moment. Inhale, arms can lift up. You might open the eyes. Exhale, take left wrist in the right hand. Use the inhale, lift high. Exhale, over to the right side. Pull yourself down, let the shoulder roll back. Lots of space along the side body. You're rooted down from the knife edge of the left foot all the way through the tips of the left fingers. Inhale, come back. Exhale to the other side. Maybe noticing how in the first couple breaths, there's a little bit of initial resistance. That's from just the soft tissue of the body getting used to the pose. And then once that releases, you might be able to go a little bit deeper. Inhale, come back through center. Exhale, hinge and fold. Soften from the hips. If you want to bring your hands to the hip bones to find what that's like, you come down with a flat back, and then when your back can be flat no more, you roll down, bringing the gaze down to the knees. Inhale. Lift up halfway, let the shoulders pull back. Exhale. Plant the hands. You're going to step your way to a high plank. Shoulders are over the wrist, hips in line with the rest of the knees. Hold steady for the first few breaths, engaging the core, activating through the entire body. So even paying attention to where the heels are. Notice the toes pressing into the ground. Keep the shoulders drawing back so the insides of the elbows look out towards the front of the room. On the exhale, you'll roll the shoulders forward. Let the elbows point back as you lower down. Maybe you drop the knees for a little support here. Inhale, Sphinx pose. Draw the elbows onto the earth. Let the shoulders pull back. The gaze is in front of you. So this is a really nice place to kind of start the engagement of what we want to do when we get into our full upward facing dog. Notice how the initial tendency in the pose is for the shoulder heads to roll a little bit forward. And then what you'll do from here is really activate through the shoulders so that you're pulling them back, lifting with the heart space, taking the gaze forward or even upward. But what you really want to feel is the broadness of the clavicles. Exhale, tuck the toes under, press the palms back into the earth, and take your hips to the sky, find downward facing dog. This is our first Adho Mukha Svanasana of the morning. We're both in a deep surrender and a full body stretch. You can draw attention to the fingertips once more, pressing the fingertips as well as the tops of the palms actively into the mat. Slide it away from you in order to draw length into the arms. You might take your dog for a walk, bending right knee, then the left. Find the individual spaces along the calves, the hamstrings, and inhale, right leg lifts up to the sky. Exhale, draw the right knee to the right elbow. Inhale, lift up. Right knee to the left elbow. Inhale, right toes to the sky. Take your hip stretch. Let the right hip stack over the left. You can let the gaze go underneath the right arm. So you're really soft through the neck. Hips continue pushing up. Draw a circle with the ankle clockwise, counterclockwise. Maybe draw the whole knee in a circle to release the hip. And exhale, set it down, right foot back down to the ground. Walk it out one time. Keep growing longer through the spine. Hips lift higher to the sky. Inhale, left toes lift to the sky. Straight up, your hips are still in line for this part. Sole of the foot is pointing to where the back ceiling meets the wall. Exhale, left knee to the left elbow. Inhale, lift to the sky. Exhale, left knee to the right elbow. Inhale to the sky. Exhale. Let that left hip stack over the right. Open the hips out. Gaze goes underneath the left armpit. Take whatever you feel called to. Maybe that means drawing the knee in a circle, one direction and then the other. Maybe you draw circles with the ankles. Try to keep both arms really active so that all 10 fingers are really pressing into the mat. Keep the length in the upper body. Inhale, stack the right foot, left foot back to the sky. Left hip points back down, and then exhale, left foot steps down to meet the right. Walk it out, bend right knee, then the left. Inhale, gaze goes to the fingers. Exhale, step, hop, or float. Find your way to the top of the mat. Use the inhale. Shoulders pull back. Exhale, soften, gaze goes down to the earth. Your body's hugging the legs. Maybe you take opposite elbow back in the arm, in the hands, cradling your head as you drop down lower, closer to the earth. Allow each time we arrive here to be a full arrival of your whole self. Maybe coming back to that attention of where each joint is in space, how it is in relation with each other. Which spots are most active in supporting you right now? On the exhale, hands can come down to the ground. Inhale, one backbone at a time, you'll lift up. Inhale, lift high. Exhale, hands come to heart center. You can close the eyes. Let the soles of the feet press down. Keep the shoulders rolling back. So much length through the spine. Exhale, hands drop down beside the hips. You can find a couple shoulder rolls. Shoulders can come to the ears, rolling around back and down. Anything that you find you're carrying. Sometimes you'll notice that even as we settle into class, things from outside of class will come up. See any of that sitting on your shoulders. See if you can set it down for the time being, if you can be fully with yourself right now. Inhale, you can let the arms lift up. Exhale, side bend over to the right side. Dip down, take it as deep as you find comfortable, using your first exhale maybe to get there. Inhale, come back to the sky. Exhale to the other side. Use the whole breath to come into your pose. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, hinge and fold down. Gaze comes down to the earth. Inhale, lift up halfway. Shoulders are drawing back. Exhale, plant the hand, step, hop, or float. Find a high plank. Keep the hips in line with the rest of the body. And on the inhale, let the right hand lift up to the sky. Find a side plank. Seeing if you're able to stack the right foot on top of the left, or if you need to stack them like side by side, that's fine too. If you want a little more support, always okay to drop the left knee down. Keep the hips lifting, gaze goes up to the right thumb. Draw length and exhale. Let the right hand slide into that space underneath the right armpit, hovering, engage the obliques. Sorry, underneath the left armpit. Inhale, right hand back up to the sky. Exhale, one more time. Inhale, come up. Exhale, into the side. Inhale, come back up. And close, right hand comes back down to the mat. Find your high plank. Hold through your inhale, exhale, lower down, elbows point back. As you lower down, inhale, upward facing dog. Roll onto the tops of the toes, let the shoulders pull back. Keep the length in the, feeling the length from the chest through the neck to the sky. So you're really drawing these shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, tuck the toes under. Hips lift high, lots of length in the spine. Inhale, right toes lift up. Exhale, right knee to the right elbow. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, cross over, right knee to the left elbow. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, right foot to the middle of both hands. Left toes stay where they are for the time being, toes in the mat, heel pointed back. Inhale, let the right hand lift up to the sky, find a twist. Shoulders draw back, drawing the right hip back and the left hip forward. So you're bringing the hips into line to give you length for the full twist. If you would like to bring the block here to help you draw a little bit more length and to offload some of the pressure on the wrist, that's fine too. And when you're ready on the exhale, you can drop the left knee down onto the mat. You're still opened up in your twist. Here we're gonna pull the left foot off of the earth, drawing the right hand back to meet the left foot if it'll reach. If that grip is uncomfortable, you can always bring the strap to where it's reachable, and you can wrap the strap around. It's nice sometimes to create a loop with the strap to make this a little bit more accessible. But you can always loop the strap around your foot to help make that grip a little bit easier. You can keep the left hand either on the block or on the mat. What we're opening up here is a really nice left quadricep stretch, left psoas stretch. Keep the heart and shoulder engaged. Let the right shoulder roll back. Let the heart go to the sky. And exhale. Release the left foot back down to the ground. You can bring both hands back around the right foot. Tuck the lift the left knee off of the earth. And now you're gonna bring the left foot to a 45-degree angle. Inhale, find your way up into warrior one. Hips are steered so that they face the front of the mat. Right shoulder draws back. Left hip comes forward. Shoulders stay rolling back. The gaze might be lifted up to the sky, or maybe the eyes are closed. Find whatever is comfortable with the hands. If you really want to just draw attention to the lower body, you can even draw the hands in to heart center and bring your attention to the hips as they right hip floats back, left hip comes forward. Maybe you use the hands on the hips to steer that. Really nice. See if you can come maybe a ½ inch closer to the earth with the hips. Thinking about the right knee coming over the right ankle. And you want the feet staggered out a little bit. So, and this is a little different for every person depending on the width of your hips. But if you imagine 2 railroad tracks on your mat, you have the right foot on the right track, left foot on the left track, so that you're really able to give your hips the room they need to steer forward. Grow long through your inhale, exhale. Float down, both hands come around the right foot. You can step the right toes back to meet the left. You're in a high plank. Inhale, slide open to the left side. Left hand reaches up off of the earth. You're in a side plank. Maybe that means dropping the right knee down on this side. Maybe the left toes hover off of the earth. Inhale, grow long. Exhale, left hand slides underneath the right armpit. Engage the obliques. Inhale, open back up. Exhale, float in. Inhale, lift up. Last time, exhale, draw in. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, close. Left hand comes back down to the ground. You're in a high plank. And then you inhale, lower the elbows down so that you could move through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. And draw all the length into the total spine. And then inhale, left toes lift to the sky. Exhale, left knee to left elbow. Inhale, lift the toes to the sky. Exhale, cross over. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, step the left foot in between the 2 hands. Right toes stay where they are to start off. Bring the block into position if you'd like. Inhale, slide the right hand up to the sky. Finding your dragonfly twist, letting the left hip draw back. Right hip pull forward. To give you enough space to really let the hips, to let the heart shine upwards. And exhale, with the left hand lifted, drop the right knee down to the earth. Right toes might lift up so you're balanced on the right knee. And if you'd like to bring a blanket or some of your rolling your mat over to support your knee a little more, that's a good option. You can draw the left hand so that it's wrapped around the left foot, left hand around the right foot. and you're opening up into your twist, nice space along the quadricep. Another thing that'll help, because you don't want to feel too much pressure on the knee. So what I find is really helpful is to, when my foot is lifted up, I find it's like more the top of my knee that's experiencing the pressure, like right along the quadriceps tendon, more than it is the knee itself that's pressing down. Find the space in the left shoulder. As the shoulder draws back, gazes to the sky. Exhale, unwind, release the foot. Both hands come back down around the left foot, and then you can tuck the right toes under, draw the right foot to a 45-degree angle, staggering the feet out so they're on the railroad tracks. Inhale, draw the arms up to the sky. Left hip draws back, right hip draws forward, shoulders are soft. Maybe you close the eyes as you go a little deeper. Reach through the inhale, exhale, hinge with the whole body, slow down towards the ground, and then you can step the left foot back to meet the right. You're in a high plank. Take whatever sequence you'd like to make your way back to a downward facing dog. Whenever you're there, you can spend more than just the breath here. So take a few cycles of inhale and exhale to really deepen through what this down dog is right now. Draw attention to the pelvis and to the sit bones especially. So this is a pose where your pelvis is almost completely upside down. Your sit bones are really what are driving up towards the sky. And in doing so, you create a lot of length in the spine. Inhale, let the gaze go forward. And then on the exhale, we're going to walk the hands back a little bit at a time, just a couple inches, to bring the hands into line with the feet. Spread the feet apart and then cradle the head between the hands. Find a little more length in the low back as you come closer. Your feet should be straddling kind of the edges of the mat here, and we'll let the toes point out towards the sides. Eventually drop your way into a Madhasana, back into a garland pose. We've been here before, but see if without the block, if you can really let the pelvis drop completely this time. You'll feel a little bit of release in the SI joint, which for most of the day, especially if you're like standing, sitting, walking, is in a pretty closed neutral position. And here we have just a little bit more space between the sacrum and the ilium, between the end of our spine and the beginning of our pelvis. You can keep the shoulders drawing back. Try to stay really active through the heart space. And then on your next exhale, you can let the hands drop behind the hips. Let the hips sink down completely and let the legs extend out in front to the sides. If you prefer facing the long side of your mat for this, that's also an option. I like to plant my hands behind the back and to scoot the hips a little bit more forward so that it gives just a little bit more space in the hips without really having to draw the legs apart, actually. So then on the inhale, you'll bring your, you'll imagine the pelvis just sitting firmly in the ground. So it's kind of straight right now. The sit bones are pointed down. You draw length from there, and then from there, imagine the pelvis tipping forward like it's pouring out water. You're gonna soften down, the toes stay pointed up towards the sky. You're active through the feet. See how long you can stay with the long spine, and then when you're no longer able to come down with a flat back is when you start curling forward. You can bring the forehead down closer to the earth. You'll have a lot of space along the inner thighs. So those are your adductor muscles and your hamstrings. And as you get used to that space, you might be able to soften a little bit even deeper and closer to the earth. With the next couple breaths, see if you can walk the elbows out a little bit further. Bring the forehead closer to the mat. Maybe you bring a block here to support your upper body. Inhale. Let the gaze go to the fingertips. Exhale. Walk back with the hands. One at a time, roll the shoulders to the ears, around back and down. And then you can bring the feet back onto your mat. Maybe you windshield wiper side to side a couple times, maybe shimmying your way a little bit forward as you do so. We're going to make our way closer to the top of the mat with the feet. You'll plant the soles of the feet on the ground. Hands are still behind you, about 6 inches behind, fingers pointed towards the toes. As our counter pose to this, we're going to take inverse table. Use the inhale to lift the hips up. Let the shoulders draw back. So you're really active through the shoulders and the upper chest here again. So instead of letting the shoulders roll forward, you actively draw them back. So you're engaged through the triceps, extending the arms completely. Gaze is either up to the ceiling, or you can even let the head drop back if you find that comfortable. Nice space to open up along the throat. Try to keep the hips in line with the rest of the body. So hips in line with the shoulders and the knees. You might choose to stay here for a couple breaths. If you'd like to feel dynamic on the exhale, you can draw the head back straight, looking forward. Let the hips pull back between the arms. Everything else is lifted up. So from the heels to the hips, you're lifted off of the earth. Inhale, come back up through inverse table. Exhale, pull back. And you can take at least 3, maybe 8 more cycles of that. Exhale, come back. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, come back. Inhale, lift up. And then on the last round, you can come back up to your inverse table. Exhale, draw the hips back as far as they'll go, and then set the hips down. You can draw the knees in together. You can plant the hands out in front of you, and we're just going to step back to a high plank. You'll probably be off of the mat at this point, so you can walk your way back onto it. Shoulders are over the wrist, hips over the knees. Use the inhale, roll the shoulder heads forward. Exhale, let the elbows point back. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Walk it out, bend right knee, then the left. Maybe find the next round of inhale that comes through the nose. Exhale, let it out through the mouth. Inhale, gaze goes forward. Exhale, step, hop, or float to the top of the mat. Use the inhale. Lift up halfway. Exhale, slide down to the ground. Inhale, lift one backbone at a time, rise up. Take the gaze to the sky. Exhale, Hands into heart center. We'll take a modified sun salutation C sequence, just a little bit faster, one breath to the movement, and then go into our balancing poses. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands on the knees. Exhale, plant the hands, just the right foot will step back. Keep left toes where they are. Inhale, left hand up to the sky. You've been here before. Shoulders will roll in line with each other, heart to the sky. Exhale, gaze down back to the hands. Left hand comes down. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Crescent warrior, drawing the hips in line towards the front of the mat. Let the right heel pull back. Gaze goes high. Exhale, interlace the fingers behind the back. Draw the base of the palms together. Let the right foot turn out all the way parallel to the, all the way pointing to the long end of the mat. And then you inhale, gaze is high. You're at about like an oblique 45-degree angle to the mat. Exhale, roll forward, humble warrior, letting the shoulders pull back as the hands lift up and over. The heart is going into the space between the legs. Stay active through the left leg, only bringing the left knee as far into the lunge as you find comfortable. Exhale. Right hand, both hands come back down to meet the low back, and then both hands soften into that space between the left, inside the left foot. You can come back onto the ball of the right foot, drop the right knee onto the earth, roll onto the tops of the right toes, starting to open up the hips in a high dragon. You can keep the hands planted. Find what feels comfortable, maybe rock the hips back and forth just a little. And if it feels good, you might even let the inside of the outer edge of the left foot plant down so that the sole of the foot lifts to look at the hands. Exhale. Both feet, the left foot comes back to the mat. Bring the left hand back to the outer edge, tuck the right toes under. We're going to start to lift the weight off of the hands, coming up into a lightning bolt pose, reaching out in front of you, 45-degree angle with the upper body. And then exhale, take off. Hands come to heart center. You can keep the sole of the foot pressing towards the back while both hips are in line. So the right hip is pointed down toward the mat. It doesn't lift up at all. Stay engaged with the upper body. So your heart's looking a little bit forward. Hold for as long as you find comfortable. And then on the next inhale, right knee is going to come up in line with the hip without touching the ground. Both hands will lift up to the sky. Exhale, sweep the right arm underneath the left, wrapping like ropes, maybe just grabbing for the shoulders or for the wrists if that's more comfortable. But if you can get the double twist, you're in eagle arms. You're wrapping the right leg then around the left. Maybe the toes touch down, maybe they lift off, maybe they tuck behind the left calf. So you can sink the hips down deep. Drawing the knees and elbows eventually in line. Shoulders stay soft. Exhale, release the twist. Arms lift back up. You're still lifted with the right foot. In our last balancing pose, we'll take dancer pose, draw the right foot back. You can drop the left hand down. You're going to grab onto the right foot from the inside. So you're holding onto the top of the foot. Inhale, extend the left fingertips out. Exhale, kick the right leg back behind you. Nice, keeping the heart stretching forward and really taking whatever, up till whatever version you want. If you just want to stay with the hand lifted to the sky, the foot kicking back slightly. If it's more comfortable than tipping forward, that's an option. And exhale, release. Both hands, both feet. Back down to the ground. You can walk it out, bending right knee, then the left. Inhale. Lift one backbone at a time. Reach up to the sky. This is our right side. Arms go up. Exhale, hands to heart center, arriving back to your breath. Feeling the soles of the feet on the mat, where they press in, where you lift length from. When you're ready, inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, hinge and fold. Gaze drops down to the ground. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands on the knees, shoulders back. Exhale, plant the hands. Step just the left foot back. Inhale, right hand up to the sky, left hand stays planted, heart lifts up. Right hip pulls back. Find your edge on that first exhale and then release. Right hand back to the earth. Inhale, sweep both arms up to the sky. Keeping the feet on those railroad tracks, drawing right hip back, left hip forward. Reach high. Exhale, interlace the fingers behind the back, base of the palms glue together. 45-degree angle with the back foot, 45-degree to maybe even all the way perpendicular, letting the body turn out so that it faces the corner of the mat. Shoulders pull back. Inhale, exhale, fold forward. Shine the heart into that space. Just noticing whatever space you're able to give into here, whether that's lifting the hands all the way up and over the head, whether it's just a little bit, whatever will give you a little bit more space in the heart. Exhale, release the hands, dropping them onto the inside of the right foot, coming up onto the left toes. Draw the right hip back, left hip forward. You can drop the left knee onto the earth, roll out onto the tops of the toes. This might be your pose today, high dragon, letting the shoulders roll back. See what it's like to ease the hips a little closer to the earth. Maybe the knife edge of the right foot plants down and the sole of the foot looks at the hands. Exhale. Both feet, the sole of the foot plants all the way down to the ground. You can bring the right hand back to the outer edge of the mat. Tuck the left toes under. Inhale, come up, lightning bolt pose, 45-degree angle with the body. And then when you're ready, start to take off. Both hands come to heart center. Sole of the foot presses back. Stay with the movement of your breath. See if you can keep the heart shining forward, even if it means that you don't lift the foot up nearly as high. And then inhale without touching the foot to the ground. Lift the left knee in line with the left hip. Strong through the core, the shoulders draw back. Inhale, arms to the sky. Exhale, left arm sweeps underneath the right, cross above the elbows as much as possible, lifting the elbows high. Sit down into your chair, letting the left foot wrap around the right as much as possible. If you fall out, you can just come back in. Watch the movement of breath. Even as we hold the body still, the breath stays moving, and it can be a way to draw a little bit greater intention even into the balance. Exhale. Release. Both feet back down to the ground, release, letting the left knee come back up. Hands release, and we'll move into our dancer pose, drawing the left knee back. You can take hold of the left foot from the inside. Right hand lifts up to the sky. Find a point, something that's not moving, that'll be your steady point to gaze at. On the exhale, you can tip forward, reaching out in front of you. Left leg kicks back, so you really open up through the quad and the left shoulder. And exhale, gently release. Both feet back down to the ground. Soften the whole upper body down. You can take opposite elbow in each hand. Come down a little lower. And exhale. Let the hands drop back down to the mat. If you want to move into a yoga squat back here, you're welcome, or you can just let the hips drop down, let the hands plant behind you. We're going to bring the soles of the feet together, hips dropping down, knees dropping down to either side. Hold the feet bound with the hands. Inhale, heart lifts up, the shoulders pull back, gazes to the sky. Exhale, with a long spine, with the back flat, you come down straight, tip forward, and then bring the forehead down closer to the toes. Rolling down into Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Inhale, lift up. Come up one backbone at a time. Let the shoulders draw back. And then on the exhale, we'll plant the hands back behind us, dropping down one backbone at a time. Supported with elbows, you can set the sacrum, mid-back, shoulders, neck, and head onto the earth. Feel the knees dropping over to the sides. Shoulders. As you can draw the knees together. Heels planted into the earth beside the hips. Take the right ankle and plant it just above the left knee, so you have a figure 4 with the legs. Left foot lifts off of the ground, right hand into that triangle of space. Interlace the fingers behind the back of the thigh, and you can let the right elbow press against the right thigh, so that you're pressing the leg away from you to open up the right outer hip. The low back stays planted against the earth as you draw the left leg in close. Exhale, let it go. Both feet plant back down onto the ground. And then you're going to take it to the other side, left foot above the right knee. Figure 4 to thread the left hand, right hand wraps them around. Press the thigh away from you. That's what really creates kind of the rotational movement in this pose that opens up the thigh and that opens up the hip. Shoulders stay rolling back. Exhale, release. Both feet back down to the mat. You can plant the heels in close to the hips on the inhale, lift the hips off of the mat, rolling the shoulders underneath so that just the soles of the feet, arms, shoulders, neck, and head are planted. Everything else lifts up. Bridge pose is our back bend. And exhale. Release the shoulders. Release the hands, one backbone at a time. Back down to the earth. And then on the inhale, candlestick pose for. Try to engage so that the rest of the sky. Engage a bit if it's your practice. Shoulder stand. The hips as you lift the feet to the sky, keeping the head very steady, so not turning the head from side to side at all. The gaze stays looking at the toes. And exhale. Tip the feet back, letting the hips stack. Letting the hips stack almost over the shoulders as the toes touch down behind you for plow pose or counter pose for shoulder stand. Keep the toes planted at lots of length in the hamstrings. As you keep the feet engaged, shoulders roll back. The chin stays tucked into the chest. This is Halasana, plow pose. And exhale. Support the hips on your way back down. One backbone at a time. Draw the knees into the chest. Maybe take happy baby here, letting them draw are in the knee. Hug them in tight. Anything else your body's craving here in the practice, you're welcome to take that now, or else you can meet us in a spinal twist, dropping the knees over to the left side. Arms open out to a T. The gaze can drop over the right shoulder. Legs stay soft as the shoulders and chest open up. Inhale, draw the knees back through center. Exhale, drop the knees over to the left side, to the right side, and the gaze drops over the left shoulder. Feel the softness of the soles of the feet. If you feel any tension in the knees, if the IT band is tight and not quite dropping down all the way, you can always slide a blanket or a block under the knees, or try bumping the hips a little bit more to the left side as you drop the knees to the right. Inhale, draw the knees back through center. And on the exhale, let the legs extend out long to the ends of the mat, right foot falling open to the right side, left foot to the left side. Hands can come in beside the hips, palms facing up to the sky, shoulders are rolling back. Shavasana is where we take our final rest, where the practice can settle into the body. Take your time here. And over the next couple cycles of breath, you can, without moving the body, just start to notice the movement that's automatically happening with the belly rising and falling on each cycle of breath. Once you feel ready to turn that into bigger movement, you can let the thumb press against each of the fingertips. You can wiggle the toes. And then gradually you can roll the wrists and the ankles in circles, eventually letting the arms extend up and over the body, drawing out length from the armpits to the fingertips. Deep inhale from the hips to the toes. Draw everything tight, and then exhale, let it go. Softening the body, let the knees draw into the chest, wrap the arms around, hug yourself tight. Appreciate everything you've created here in this practice. When you feel ready, you can drop over to whichever side you're called to. Let the head rest against the soft part of the arm. Close the eyes. Give yourself a moment here in this fetal pose, this pose of new beginnings, to collect what it is you will be lifting up, taking with you into the rest of your day. Once you feel you have that, you can press right hand and left into the earth. Gently press yourself up towards a seated pose, finding yourself in a Sukhasana, cross-legged pose. The eyes are closed. You can draw length through the spine, settling the sit bones into the mat. Lift up long, drawing the energy of your practice. Fill it up in your heart. Deep inhale. Exhale, send that out to the rest of our group. Another time, deep inhale, drawing in our collective energy. Exhale, send that out to the world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May the whole world be happy, healthy, and free. The light in me honors and bows down to the light in each of you. Namaste. All right. Thanks everybody for being here this morning. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to stay. My name is Anita. I'll be here on Sundays at 9. If you have questions about classes taking place around the city, you can ask Robert for more information about Elm City Yogis for some of the outdoor classes over the summer. And other than that, I don't see the announcements sheet. I don't know if there's anything new or notable. There's hiking and yoga on August 20th at West Rock Park from 1 to 4. And then there's information about fall yoga teacher training. And there's a Ukrainian Independence Day fundraiser on August 24th with Judy at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in any of those, you can see the website for more details. Thank you.